Okay, you should have two pieces of paper, one that's blue and one that's green. We're going to start with the green piece of paper that's on cardstock. Okay, you're going to cut on the bold lines. Glue into journal as one piece. Okay, so this piece of paper you're going to cut out to look like this. That's all you're going to do. Just cut around the bold lines. Leave it as one piece. The blue piece of paper that you have, you're going to cut on bold lines and dash lines and then glue on top of the other page. So the blue piece of paper, you're going to cut it out just like you did the green one. Cut it out on the bold lines. Okay, and then I would recommend that you make a fold right here on these words. Make a fold and unfold it, because then you're going to cut on the dash lines. Okay, so you're going to cut out the dash lines, but you're not going to go all the way through because we're going to make a tab that can fold up. So you're going to cut on the dashed line, but not cutting through the words. Okay, so you're going to cut these out. This is still attached. So on your green cardstock, it has the words glue. Put a little strip of glue right here, and then you'll put your blue paper on top. Okay. And you're going to glue your blue paper on top. Okay, and this way we can read what's on the front in blue and flip our tab up and see what is underneath it on green. Okay, so once you get this cut out and glued together, then we're going to start taking some notes on it. Okay, so now on these notes, what we have right here is the reference material. This is what we get for slope of a line on our reference material, so I put that right there for you. So we have slope, and slope describes the rate of change of a line. So when we started off learning about slope, the first thing you learned was that slope is the rise over the run. And the rise is telling us how many to go up or down, and the run is telling us how many to go left or right. Okay, so we describe this as the change in y over the change in x. Okay, so how are we changing on the y's? How are we changing with the x's? And then we learned that other formula where we had y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, because this is describing that change. So the rise is the change in y, which we get by subtracting the two y's. The run is the change in x, which we get by subtracting the two x's. So we've learned to find slope from some different ways. Okay, we learned to find it from a graph. So we chose 2 points on the graph, and then we count the rise from one point to the next, and then we count the run. All right, and then we write the slope as rise over run. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Okay, so here's our graph, and we're going to do rise over run. And so here's our two perfect points that we're going to use, and we're going to make that triangle. Okay, so how many are we going up? We're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many are we going over? 1, 2, 3. So we have the slope is 6 over 3, which that simplifies to be 2. And we use m to represent the slope. So our m is equal to 2. Reading this graph from left to right, we're sloping up. So this is a slope of positive 2. Okay, our next example, here's our two perfect points on our line. We're going to make our triangle. We're going to count up. We've gone up 2. We've gone over 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can't do anything else with that fraction. And I'm going to look at the graph. We are sloping down. When I look from left to right, we're sloping down. So this is a negative slope. Again, M represents our slope. So this graph has a slope of a negative 2/3. Okay, we're going to kind of skip around because the next thing we learned was how to find the slope from 2 points. So we're going to go down here from 2 points. Okay, so when we did this, we labeled our x and our y coordinates, and then we find the change in y and the change in x using this formula here. Okay, and this formula is in our reference material. Slope of the line, it's right here. Okay, and then this formula, it was important to remember that the minus sign is part of the formula. All right, so let's practice this. Okay, so here's the formula yet again. Okay, and remember that the minus sign is just part of the formula. Okay, so we have to label our points. Okay, so they're both x and y. And so to differentiate, we call one x1 and y1, and we call the other one x2 and y2. We're going to plug it into our formula, and our formula consists of that minus sign that's just built into it. And then we're going to plug in our points. So we have 17 minus 5, that's going to give us our change in y. And we have 4 minus 0, that's our change in x. So we just subtract. 17 minus 5 is 12, and 4 minus 0 is still 4. And 12 divided by 4 turns into 3. So the slope of this line is 3. Okay, let's do this again. So we have our ordered pair xy. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to use that same formula again, where the subtraction is just part of it. And then we're going to plug in our points. So we have negative 6, and we have negative 10. And our x's are 0 and negative 12. And this is why I want you to highlight this, because it's important, because we have minus and negative here. Okay, so then we got to use our integer rule. So minus a negative turns into plus. So we're really doing a negative 6 plus 10. All right, so negative 6 plus 10 is going to give us a positive 4. And then we have 0 minus a negative 12. That's really going to be plus 12. Okay, so we have a positive 4/12, and then we simplify that fraction. We divide both of them by 4. So this slope of this line is 1/3. Okay, let's do it again. So we have our x's and our y's. We have our x1 and our y1, and our x2 and our y2, and then we have our equation with our minus signs built in. Okay, so we're just going to plug this in. 11 and 7, that's my y's, and negative 5 and 0, that's my x's. So 11 minus 7 gives me 4, and a negative 5 minus nothing gives me a negative 5. So the slope of this line is a negative 4/5.